All right, let's dive in. The Smuggler S Protocol, Surviving Digital Babylon. And trust me, this isn't about the internet you think you know. According to this, we're in a high-stakes information war zone, a place where every single click, every pixel is part of the battle. So this is the playbook for how to navigate it.
You know, they told you the internet was free, that it was this open space for expression. Well, according to this doctrine, they lied. In this world, if your information doesn't conform, it gets flagged, it gets suppressed, and ultimately, it gets purged.
Okay, Section 1, the Eye of the Hydra, or, as they call it, the system is a prison. Look, if you want to survive, you've got to understand the system you're trapped in. So forget thinking about this as some kind of digital town square. It's way closer to a perfectly designed prison. And our first job? It's to map the walls and figure out who the warden is.
So, what exactly is Digital Babylon? It's not just a cool cyberpunk nickname for the internet. Now, it's a very specific term for a hostile control grid. And its goal isn't to connect people. Its goal is to enforce narrative conformity. And get this, it's not even enforced by people, but by algorithmic governance. Code is the law here.
And who runs this whole show? Well, the source material has a name for them, the Hydra. And it's not just one company, right? Think of it like a multi-headed beast, a conglomerate of the biggest tech corporations out there. They're basically the new digital sovereigns, making the rules and making sure everyone falls in line. And this isn't just some abstract metaphor. Oh no, this doctrine names names. You've got the search giant. We all know who that is. The social sovereign, the hardware sovereign, and of course, the ever-growing power of ByteDance. In this framework, these aren't just companies selling you stuff. They're the governors, the wardens of Digital Babylon.
So what do? The key takeaway here is that this is not a head-on fight. You're not going to tear down the prison walls. The whole objective is to think like a smuggler. Your mission is to move something precious, what they call the pearl, which could be truth or some high-risk info, right past the guards who are specifically trained not to see its true value.
All right, Section 2, the Warden's Toolkit, or how the prison actually works. If you're going to be a smuggler, you better know the tools the Warden is using against you. Let's break it down.
Okay, first up, optical character recognition, or OCR. And this is an absolute game changer. The system's AI isn't just scanning your captions and hashtags anymore, it's literally reading the text inside your images and videos. Think about that. The strategic implication is massive. You have to assume that every pixel you post can be read like plain text.
Next up is the psychological weapon, shadow banning. This is so insidious. See, the system doesn't actually have to delete your content. It just has to make you feel like you're shouting into an empty room. It quietly makes your stuff invisible on discovery pages, so no new people see it. It's called a futility trap. You think your message is just failing. And what do? You get discouraged, you give up, and the system wins without firing a shot.
And just when you think you've figured it out, the threat evolves. We're now facing an emerging threat, the self-adapting prison. The next level of control isn't some static algorithm with a rulebook you can learn to beat. No, we're talking about a self-adapting AI that learns from every single attempt to get around it. It's like a prison that repairs its own walls, in real time.
So faced with a system like that, how in the world do you get a message through? You change the very language you speak. This brings us to Section 3, the Smuggler's Code, the language of escape. This is where we learn the linguistic tactics to get the job done.
And the number one tool in the Smuggler's Kit is something called AlgoSpeak. Now, this isn't just internet slang. The source material is clear. This is a crucial survival mechanism. It's a living, breathing language of code words and euphemisms that's constantly evolving to stay one step ahead of those automated filters.
Here's a super simple example of how it works on a basic level. The phrase spiritual warfare. That's going to get flagged by a simple keyword scanner, right? But if you swap out some letters for numbers and symbols, it becomes Spear 11 TLW Arfare. To you and me, it reads the same, but to the machine, it might just slip right by.
But of course, it gets way more sophisticated than that. Look at this dictionary. Instead of talking about death or killing, which gets flagged for violence, you say unalive or game end. Instead of demon or Satan, you might say low vibrational entities or the ops. Conspiracy or truth, that becomes the lore or the plot. Even the pandemic gets a code, the panini. It's really a masterclass in adapting your language to survive.
Now we get to the really advanced stuff, the parable protocol.
This is next level. This is about hiding the pearl, the high-risk truth, in plain sight. You encode it inside a story, a visual, a metaphor that looks totally innocuous to the censor, to the swine. But to the people who know what to look for, it speaks volumes.
Okay, Section 4. Platform-specific escape routes. Think of these as the maps to freedom. Because look, these strategies are not one-size-fits-all. A good smuggler knows the terrain, right? And this doctrine lays out very specific tactics for the different algorithmic rules on each major platform.
Let's take Platform X, for example. The algorithm there hates it when you post a link that takes people off-site. It'll bury your post. So how do you get around that? You use what's called the hook and loom strategy. Step 1, the hook. You start with a question or a statement that creates a curiosity gap. No link. Step 2, the body. You build a whole thread where each post adds value on its own. You're keeping people on the platform, which the algorithm loves. Then, and only then, Step 3, the bridge. After your thread has gained traction, you post the external link in the final tweet. Brilliant.
Now, what about a visual platform like Pinterest? Well, your camouflage has to be visual too. The strategy here is to use popular aesthetics as a kind of Trojan horse. You can use the dark academia aesthetic, old books, moody lighting, classical art, to package theological doctrine. Or you use a cyberpunk aesthetic to deliver critiques of the system and intelligence dossiers. It's hiding in plain sight.
And then you have TikTok. Man, attention spans are short there, and the moderation is super aggressive. So the tactic has to change again. Here, you use the glitch hook. You frame your sensitive content as if it's just entertainment or lore from a video game or a movie. By calling it the lore, you can often fly right under the radar of moderators who are looking for what they define as real-world harm. So, after all that, we come to the final section, building the sovereign citadel. Because ultimately, all of these external tactics, they all point to an internal choice. It's about building a fortress in your own mind, a mindset that the system just can't control. The choice is yours.
And this doctrine frames the choice with two really powerful archetypes. On one side, you have the lapdog. This is the one who lives in the city of Cain, chasing comfort and scraps, wearing what they call the golden handcuffs. They choose safety. On the other side, you have the sheep. Now, not a sheep in the sense of a mindless follower. No, this is a sheep that lives in the field. It seeks freedom and sovereignty. It carries the shepherd's staff and accepts the risks that come with it.
And that brings it all down to this single, powerful quote. The lap is safe, the field is free. Choose. It's so stark, isn't it? It frames safety and freedom as two separate paths, not things that go together, but competing values. You can have one, or you can have the other, and you have to choose.
Which really brings us to the final question, the one this whole protocol is designed to make you ask yourself. Yes, the system is watching. But you know what? So are we. Those who understand the game are watching right back. So the only question that matters is, where do you stand?
And with that choice, according to this doctrine, you become part of something bigger, Ionios Vanguard, the Sovereign Watch.